I never thought I'd share this story. But after what happened, I need to get it off my chest. Maybe someone out there has gone through the same nightmare, the same suffocating terror I endured. If you think you've had a bad dream before, this was something far worse. It all began on a cold, quiet morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare my husband's breakfast before he left for work. The house was still dark, the air heavy with silence. After an hour, he kissed me goodbye and walked out the door, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the dim glow of my phone screen. I scrolled through Facebook for a while, my eyes growing heavy. Finally, exhaustion took over, and I decided to go back to sleep. That's when everything changed. At first, it felt like any other nap. My body relaxed, my breathing slowed, and my mind drifted somewhere between wakefulness and sleep. But then, something strange happened. My eyes remained closed, yet I was fully aware of my surroundings. I could hear everything: the faint hum of the refrigerator, the distant chatter of my mother-in-law scolding my husband's nephew, the creak of a door opening somewhere in the house. I was trapped in that eerie state where your body sleeps, but your mind stays awake. And then, the presence arrived. I felt it before I saw it. A crushing weight pressed down on me, pinning me to the bed. My arms, my legs, paralyzed. Panic surged through me. I tried to scream, to move, to do anything, but my body refused to obey. My breath came in short, frantic gasps as an invisible force wrapped itself around me, holding me in place. I could feel its touch, its breath against my skin. It wasn't a dream. It was real. A deep, guttural whisper filled my ears, speaking in a language I couldn't understand. The weight on my chest grew heavier, suffocating, relentless. My heartbeat pounded like a drum inside my skull. It touched Mayet's hands, ghosting over my body, its presence sinking into me like a shadow with substance. The sensation was cold and unnatural, yet disturbingly intimate. I wanted to fight back, but I was completely helpless. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the weight began to lift. My body was still trembling when I forced my eyes open, desperate to see what had tormented. And there it was. A figure loomed at the foot of my bed, a massive silhouette, covered in dark, matted hair. It had no face, no eyes, no mouth, just an abyss where a face should have been. It stood there watching me with something more terrifying than sight. It knew me. It had been there before. And worst of all, it would be back. I shut my eyes tight, refusing to look any longer. If I acknowledged it, would it return? Would it drag me further into whatever twisted reality it came from? I stayed that way for what felt like an eternity, my breath shallow, my body frozen with fear. When I finally dared to open my eyes again, the figure was gone. But the room was unbearably cold, and my body ached as if I had been crushed under a terrible weight. I sat up, my hands shaking as I reached for the glass of water on my nightstand. My throat was dry, my skin damp with sweat. Tears burned at the edges of my eyes, and my mind swirled with confusion. Was it sleep paralysis? A vivid nightmare? Or had I just encountered something far more sinister? I wanted to tell my husband, but how could I? Would he believe me? Or would he laugh it off as just another bad dream? I could still feel its presence lingering in the room, in my bones, in the very air I breathed. Was this an incubus? A creature that visits in the dead of night, feeding off fear and something much darker? The thought sent shivers down my spine. I had heard the stories before, but I never thought I'd become one myself. That night, I didn't sleep. And even now, every time I close my eyes, I fear that when I wake up, I won't be alone.